Now, it's not like sudden and unexpected deaths didn't occur in the past, but they were typically confined to folks who one could reasonably argue this could have happened to. They weren't deaths of atypical healthy people, deaths of people at atypically healthy ages. Today, we have one such example. It's of a perfectly healthy, well-liked, and celebrated Daily Mail sports journalist, but this one is laced with a dose of irony. The Daily Mail ran a story on January 17th about one of its own, headlined, "Goodbye, Mr. Wimbledon. Tennis correspondent Mike Dickson dies aged 39. Mike, a 33-year veteran sports reporter at the peak of his career, was busily covering the Australian Open in Melbourne, and then suddenly, presto, voila, he keeled over and was gone. According to the Mail, Mike was a superb sports writer with a sarcastic and cynical sense of humor. I kind of like that part. He specialized in tennis reporting, a beloved father and husband, often described by others as selfless, kind, generous, basically an all-around great guy by, like I said, those who knew him. Could very well be. Who am I to argue that point? It's not like I knew the man personally. But what I do know is that there doesn't seem to be any specifics about Mike's death. Basically, all you find is a tweet from Mike's grief-stricken wife announcing he collapsed and died at the Open. All right, so you're probably thinking yourself, other than another one of those unexpected, atypical heart attacks we're seeing more and more these days, what gives? Why the interest in Mike Dickson? Well, to answer that, we need to turn back the clock 2 years, specifically to the 2022 Australian Open. You see, back then, Mike, usually the all-around great guy, was nowhere to be found. He set aside that charitable and kind disposition to declare war on none other than Novak Djokovic. Over what? That's right, COVID vaccinations and Novak's desire not to be vaccinated. Mike was like a dog with a bone, relentless. He argued continuously, both privately and publicly, that Djokovic was wrong. As a one-man army with his pulpit, Mike managed to create a worldwide wave of anti-Djokovic sentiment. So much so that crowds of lemmings booed the unvaccinated champion and chanted things like, "Get vaccinated," at him from the stands during tournaments. The journalist crusader was all in with his life's mission, basically being to force the Serbian champion to comply and submit. Why the zeal? Well, folks, like Mike, knew better than the rest of us flat earthers like Novak. Mike often said that Novak could ruin his chances of becoming the GOAT, greatest of all time, by refusing to get vaccinated. I wonder if Mike still believed all of that or had any regrets for demonizing and vilifying Novak. I guess we'll never know, since he's no longer around to tell us. What we do know is that Novak didn't ruin his chances of becoming the GOAT by refusing to take the vaccine, but rather, Novak withstood the personal persecution by a bunch of automatons and came out the other end, the GOAT. Admired by not only tennis aficionados, but millions who felt bodily autonomy was a God-given right, a right which no government or sports reporter had the right to take away. Mike, however, diehard vaccine advocate, is gone. Not just gone, but made his exit at the 2024 Australian Open, almost 2 years to the day after declaring a public war on Novak Djokovic's private medical decision over the same event. Now, don't get me wrong. I take no joy in Mike's passing and offer my sincerest condolences to his family and loved ones at this tragic time in their lives. Maybe Mike wasn't the villain after all in this saga. He was just operating out of good intentions and had bought into the science and was all in on what the experts put forth, never asking questions. Or maybe he was a victim of his own hubris and pride. convincing himself that it was his journalist's duty to humanity to use his skills and abilities to save the world from anti-vaxxers like Novak. Alas, we'll never know. And we'll likely not ever know what killed him either. Why? Well, you see, the calls to protect Mike's medical privacy are deafening. For some strange reason, the same corporate media that was relentless about everyone proclaiming their vaccination status, the same one that didn't give a rat's ass about your privacy, now believes that someone's medical history or cause of death is no one's business but their own. Now it's an invasion of privacy. Apparently it's sacred again. Guess I didn't get that memo, right? You know, if corporate journalists didn't have double standards, why, they wouldn't have standards at all. Anyway, I do appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. Please post any comments you have in the comment section. You can also follow me on my Rumble and my Locals account. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. I'm also at Camera612, and I will see you next time.